So I did a poll over on my Bookstagram page, boho_bookworm. I just wanted to find out from people what kind of videos that you'd want from me now that I really am making the effort to get back into this. And someone suggested that I do a makeup kind of video, and I wanted to incorporate books into it because the whole point of Boho Bookworm is books, obviously. But some of you are interested in how I do my makeup, what products I use. I do suffer from psoriasis, guttate psoriasis to be specific, which means that I have to be very careful with what I put on my skin. So what I'm going to show you today is really, really lovely stuff, a little bit more on the pricey side foundation wise, but yeah, I just wanted to show you what products I use. Also, a couple of you wanted suggestions on where to start with Colleen Hoover, which, as some of you may know, is my favourite author. I rave about her on this channel. So I'm going to do my top 3 makeup products today, what I literally cannot live without, and apply that to my face while I discuss my top 3 Colleen Hoover books, because there are about 20 of her books that I've read. So this is going to be a video done in chunks. There's no way I'll get through 20 books all in one sitting. So 3 books today, where to start with Colleen Hoover, and then I'll be back with you next time for the next recommendations. This makeup look is going to be very basic, just everyday kind of makeup. I was very naughty and slept in my makeup last night, which I know you shouldn't do. I'm using these simple cleansing wipes, which has no artificial perfume or colour, no harsh chemicals that can upset your skin, biodegradable wipes, which I got in Tesco's for I think £1 something, and it's just really good. Takes all my makeup off and doesn't react to my sensitive bloody skin. So I'm just going to go splash some water on my face and then we'll continue. But before I do, I just wanted to say, yeah, I know Colleen Hoover is very controversial. You either love or hate her. People do tend to have quite a lot of issues with her books. They can be filled with like toxic masculinity. If you're a bit more sensitive towards like sexual content, some of them are quite sexually orientated. They do often fall under the kind of YA new adult kind of genre, but the great thing about Colleen Hoover is that she doesn't really confine herself to one genre. She dabbles in everything, whether it be thriller, contemporary, romance, even fantasy, ghost stories, you name it, she loves to try it, and I think she does it amazingly. Right, let me just go wash my face. I'm back. Okay. So now I put in, I really love this brand, Simple. So this is their replenishing rich moisturizer, 12-hour moisturization, kind to skin, no artificial perfume, colour, no harsh chemicals, blah, blah, blah. Same as the wipes, just to moisturize everything before I get started. I sometimes use a toner, but right now I can't really be that arsed. So this is what I use. It's very basic and it works wonders for me. Right, so all the makeup I own in the world is in this little guy. That's it. I know most girls have like stacks and stacks in their bathroom, but that's what I got because I've been living out of a suitcase for the majority of my adult life. So there you go. These top 3 books are going to be linked to a certain type of makeup that personally I couldn't live without. The first one being my Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation. I absolutely love it. And for this book, top place, book I would recommend to you more than anything else is Too Late by Colleen Hoover. This book just, like all of her books, have the power to just shatter your heart, destroy you, but at the same time just kind of, it's the only kind of book I can relate to properly. The characters are so flawed and damaged and incredible. I could go on forever about these characters in this book. Let me just get into Too Late while I apply this foundation. This foundation I have found so far to be absolutely perfect if you've got psoriasis on your face. I've never had a reaction to it. It's a stay in place makeup with a SPF factor of 10. The colour that I use personally is 3C3, which is a sandbar. I have used this foundation for years. I feel like it lasts ages. It's a little bit more on the pricey side personally, I think, but for my skin it reacts to other stuff, so unfortunately this is what I have to have. Not really unfortunately, because to be honest, it covers up. It's got, I feel like it's high coverage, It takes away all my redness, and it doesn't dry out my skin either. It almost leaves it with like a dewy effect, which I really like. It turns out really smooth. You know how like often if you're wearing a foundation, it can look quite cakey and like just not, it looks very fake. This, I feel like sometimes people don't even realize I'm wearing makeup, but obviously I know I am, because it covers up my freckles, covers up my red marks that I don't like on my forehead and on my cheeks and stuff, and it just like blends in really easily. It's really buildable and just like a very user-friendly makeup. Can you tell I don't normally do makeup reviews? But out of everything, I chose Too Late by Colleen Hoover to match with this makeup product, because Too Late is my favourite book, and this is definitely the one makeup product that just makes me feel a bit more human in the mornings if I feel a bit shit. So Too Late by Colleen Hoover is about this girl called Sloane. She's got this special needs brother, and she's forced to stay in this really toxic relationship to basically like afford looking after him. She's in this relationship with this guy called Asa, who is like this high school drug lord, basically. So we're following their little story, and then this guy called Carter shows up in their lives and befriends them. But he's quite mysterious. They're not really sure who he is, where he's from, what his backstory is. And it kind of complicates everything because he has instant attraction towards Sloane. Unfortunately, that instant attraction does put not only Sloane's life in danger, but everyone's lives in danger. Dun, dun, dun. So as with many of Colleen Hoover's books, Too Late is told from multiple points of views, which is something I personally love in a book. I love getting into different kind of character minds, and this one you follow you go deep into the mind of a psychopath, which I really, really enjoyed. You know, I think people that really liked You by Caroline Kepnes would really enjoy this book for that aspect of it. It's just like, it's such an incredibly gripping and addictive read. And because I was in a toxic relationship for many years myself, I guess I just found myself really invested in Sloane and her story and the things that she had to endure and go through to be able to look after her brother and just try and have a life that she could afford and be safe with. I feel like out of all of Colleen Hoover's books, this is definitely one of the darkest ones. And also very explicit. There are major trigger warnings for things like rape, domestic violence. It's very twisted. There's even like murder, drugs, bullying. Very, very graphic content in this book. And honestly, like, I've got quite a strong stomach when it comes to thrillers and all that kind of stuff that I enjoy. But even this book made me feel queasy. So, I mean, it's hard to say with a book like this. I guess it's kind of similar to Lolita in that while it's fantastic, it's hard to say that you enjoy reading it because it's not enjoyable, but at the same time you just can't put it down, and you're just like so invested in the story that you have to know where it goes. And then I also think Sloane as a character, because she stays in this toxic relationship that she's in, there's a lot of controversy around whether she's a strong female character for a book or not. And personally, I really disagree with people that think that she's not. Because I have been in a toxic relationship, I know how hard it is to walk away from them, and I feel like Sloane did everything that she could in order to protect herself and her special needs brother in the situations that were dealt to her. I think she's a very strong character, and yeah, I don't want to say too much about this book because, as with most of Colleen Hoover's books, I feel like you need to go in blind as much as you can. But yeah, Too Late by Colleen Hoover, number 1. Please give it a read and let me know what you think. Okay, so the next book that I'm going to recommend, number 2, is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, which I feel like is the majority of people's absolute favourite from hers. So for this, the one makeup product that if I just can't be asked with applying makeup to my face that day, I always put on a little bit of like lipstick. I just feel instantly like it's just given me a little bit of a pop. It just makes me feel not as atrocious as I could be. So before I apply some lipstick, I am going to use this Carmex lip moisturizer, which just, because I get really dry lips, especially now that it's winter. So I'm just going to put some of that on to coat my lips before I put lipstick on. I feel like It Ends With Us is definitely Colleen Hoover's most well-known book. I read it back in 2017 and it was by far my favourite book of the year, one of my favourite books ever, to be frank. So obviously, as it's one of my favourite books ever, I have to pair it with my favourite lipstick ever, which sadly got chewed by a dog, but let's not talk about that. This is a L'Oreal Paris lipstick. God knows what the number was. I think it might have been 412, maybe? Who knows? That's what it looks like now. But it's just such a lovely colour. I really, really like this one. I know the lighting's not the best today, but I don't have much natural lighting in my flat. It Ends With Us. It's really hard to apply lipstick while you're talking about a book. It Ends With Us is such a powerful book. This one can get on your teeth, so just make sure you check that before you go out in public with this lipstick out. So I read It Ends With Us just after I'd gone through a really horrible breakup, and It Ends With Us really does take you through a process of a bad breakup. Colleen Hoover herself said that this is one of the most grueling bits of writing she has ever done in her life. So the start of this book says, sometimes it is the one who loves you who hurts you the most. So this is about a girl called Lily who comes from a small town in Maine. She has since gone to college, I think. She moved to Boston. She got her own business. So she's done pretty effing well for herself. So then she meets this neurosurgeon called Ryle, who she gets this instant connection with. So she's like, score, my life literally rocks. But you know, Ryle, he's a bit arrogant, a bit assertive, definitely not without his faults. One of those faults being that he has a complete aversion to relationships. So even though he's got this massive soft spot for Lily, he's just not all that sure he can 100% commit. Lily has a past, as we all do, and there's this guy that she used to date, her first love, called Atlas. And while she's trying to navigate this new relationship with Ryle, she can't help but be reminded of Atlas. Then, out of the blue, Atlas bloody shows up. So everything that she's just started, establishing with Ryle is now threatened. So that is the premise of It Ends With Us. Oh, you know what? I'm actually going to do 2 bits of makeup for this one just to make it a little bit more interesting. So this is a new mascara that I just bought from Tesco's the other day. It's Maybelline New York, the Colossal Big Shot Daring Black Mascara. To be honest, I've used this once and I do prefer the other Maybelline, the False Wimpern Black Drama Volume Mascara. So they're the two, but I'm almost out of that one, so I got a new tube of that. And then this one, the picture made the eyelashes on the model look even bigger than on this one. So I wanted to give it a go, and to be honest, I wasn't quite as satisfied as I was with the pink one. But I'm gonna give it a go and see if I can maybe build it up a little bit or something. So yeah, mascara is another thing that I absolutely love. Like if I don't really want to wear makeup that day, lipstick and a bit of mascara, I feel so much better. I almost feel like It Ends With Us is one of the first books that I read that had a very strong theme of domestic violence. And really, it really hits home and shows you what it's really like to be in a domestic violence situation. I think people tend to think that domestic violence is just black and white, but it's not. You never know what goes on behind closed doors. You don't understand why people are staying with the people that they're staying with and stuff like that. And yeah, I just feel like this book really did the theme justice and made us understand it more. Lily as a main character I absolutely loved. So I mean, this book, while it really did have really sensitive, hard-hitting topics, it did have a massive element of fun to it as well, and there were moments where it was laugh out loud funny, which actually really surprised me. But so yeah, Lily, she was just a really strong character, really independent. She's also goofy and funny. She's sexy, she's confident. I just found like her character really real and admirable. And yeah, like I just didn't want her story to end. I could easily have, or I could still do another book of Lily as a character. I think that it would be great. And I think if Colleen Hoover ever decides to take a moment to watch this silly little rushed video, then yeah, do that. I want more of Lily. Then we've got Ryle as a character, and at first I loved him. You know, he's the typical bad boy. He's spicy, he's a bit naughty, he's very blunt. I mean, what a roller coaster ride. I mean, he's the kind of character that even at his worst you just understand him in a way, if that makes any sense. I think something that's controversial about her books, right, is that it is not romanticizing rape or rough sex at all, but you know, there is certain things about Ryle, like a near rape scene and stuff, and but it takes you through his backstory and why he is the way that he is, which I think is an important thing to bring up in books and people's personalities. And I think a lot of people just get a bit angry with Colleen Hoover for even entertaining that kind of way that someone is. But you start to understand why Ryle is the way that he is. And when you think about the stuff he's gone through, you realise, like, Jesus, no wonder he is the way that he is. And there is a love triangle in this book, which I love in a book. I feel like a lot of the times these days, love triangles can be quite cliche and boring, tropey, but this book really, really did it so well. I was bawling my eyes out in It Ends With Us. It's the furthest thing from what I expected at all. And there's so many quotes, I don't even know where to start with this book. Oh, God. It takes an astronomical amount of pain and courage to disrupt a familiar pattern. 85% of women return to abusive situations. Most days I'm strong. Most days I'm so mad at him that the thought of ever forgiving him is ludicrous. But some days I miss him so much I can't breathe. I miss the fun I had with him. I miss making love to him. I miss missing him. Her books, they just do something to my goddamn soul. We all have a limit, what we're willing to put up with before we break. Every incident chips away at your limit. Every time you choose to stay, it makes the next time that much harder to leave. Eventually, you lose sight of your limit altogether. There's so many, like, it's so deep and so profound. Like, it's stuff that I think as women in particular, we go through all the time. And yet, like, we can't put it into words. And I feel like Colleen Hoover does this excellent job of really putting into words how we're feeling. And I just relate to her books so much. It Ends With Us. I was choking back the tears. I was laughing, I was smiling, I was just sobbing my heart out. A fantastic book. You need to pick it up. Okay, I'm sad that this next book wasn't my number one pick, but nothing's going to ever be too late for me. When I heard Colleen Hoover was going to write a thriller book, I just shot out of my chair, jumped up and down, screamed, did a little happy dance. It's my favourite genre, my favourite author. I could not wait. So she wrote this book called Verity, and bloody hell, I loved it. But it is number 3 in my top 3 of Colleen Hoover's books. So for this, I'm going to choose my blush, which I got from the Body Shop. I normally go for the bronzer one. This is more of a pinky shade, but they didn't have the bronze one in stock. So I'm learning to live with a bit more pink in my life these days. I've used the Body Shop blush for years as well. Just, nothing makes me happier than a bit of bronze in my life. So Verity is about this girl called Lowen, who is a struggling ghostwriter. And one day she just gets so lucky. This writer, a really famous author called Verity Crawford, I believe, has a nasty fall or something really bad happens to her. And she basically says to Lowen, come and stay with me and help me finish my new book because I need help and I can't do it myself. So she goes to live with this family. It not only has Verity in it, but also Verity's husband and a young son. It kind of came at the perfect time because Lowen just got evicted from her flat and she was pretty much penniless. when she arrives, she realizes that Verity, the author, is actually living upstairs, but she's brain dead. So she's got to write this whole book by herself with really no help at all from Verity. So she starts like going through all these notes and stuff that Verity's been keeping away for this autobiography, and she learns all these horrors and these vile ways that like Verity murdered her twin sister. I mean, sorry, not twin sister, her twin daughters. And the reasoning behind it, like she was really jealous of her own daughters, and the attention getting taken away from her by her husband. And yeah, it was just a bizarre story, but so warped, so twisted, so brilliant. I mean, it's so dark that as our main character Lowen is going through these notes, she actually starts wondering, is Verity faking being brain dead to keep her husband and make sure that he doesn't go away? Because basically, can someone be that selfish and that obsessed with someone that they would fake their own brain damage and become a vegetable just to keep someone in their grasps? The plot twist was bloody insane. There's like hot, erotic sex scenes in this book, as usually is with Colleen Hoover's books. I was just like, ooh, saucy, puts like 50 Shades to shame. I was hooked from beginning to end. The writing was impeccable, but I just absolutely love this book. So they're the top 3 that I would recommend to you while I've been doing my makeup. I think I might actually recommend you a 4th one while I'm here and I'm busy with this, because I'm almost done with my makeup and there's really only one other makeup product that I use on a regular basis, so let's do it. Okay, so for this one I am using the Maybelline New York, just a black eyeshadow, which funnily enough I put on my eyebrows to just colour them in and sculpt them a little bit. And the 4th Colleen Hoover book that I'm going to recommend to you is Confess. Confess is about this girl called Auburn Reed, and basically she's, as with most of Colleen Hoover's books, she's struggling in life. She walks into this art studio to try find a job and gets the job, falls hopelessly in love with this crazy artist called Owen Gentry. But Owen has this really dark past and it threatens to ruin everything, and basically Auburn needs to make the decision to cut him out to save herself, or, you know, her life is going to go tits up. That is the basic premise. See how like that just instantly makes my eyebrows just perfect. I absolutely loved the art aspect of this book. I've heard that it does actually feature like the original art that is spoken about or written about in this book, and I think it would have just added such a beautiful, aesthetically pleasing touch. But however, as always, the Audible books are fantastic and I do highly recommend them. It's a very like sensual book. You want to like breathe in the paint fumes and like imagine the textures of the art and envision the colours on the canvas. While this book was so arty, so beautiful, I do kind of wish that Colleen Hoover had played with that more, you know, like done more scenes explaining the art and writing about Owen doing his painting and stuff. I just think it would have added such a beautiful layer to the story. As the title suggests, right, Owen paints people's confessions, which I think is such a unique spin on art, and well, yeah, it was so beautifully done. Her mind works wonders. And a really interesting element to this book is that the confessions that that the artist paints are all real confessions that Colleen Hoover got from readers of her books. And it was fascinating. Some of them were really shocking, really disturbing, and you just find yourself wondering, like, how has someone actually done this? And knowing that that was real, that is someone's confession that is in this book, is incredible. Once again, Colleen Hoover crushed my heart, annihilated it, destroyed it. I feel like people are very quick to judge Colleen Hoover, thinking that they could be really stereotypical romance books. They're not. Her books are brutal, genuine masterpieces. And this one in particular is about love and loss. It's about forgiveness and moving on, moving forward in life. As always, it's got violence, it's got sexual assault, it's got so many like deep things, fate, drugs, God, you know, her characters are just phenomenal. Amazing book. Confess has got to be up there with my top 4, as it seems. My makeup is now done. I hope I've convinced you to pick up some Colleen Hoover books. I will be back with more next time. Let me know if you enjoyed this kind of video, watch me do my makeup. Yeah, hopefully it doesn't look too bad. Yeah, there you go. I gotta get ready for work now, so I will see you next time. Bye.